Awesome. Well, hey, welcome everyone to Tuesday Broker, keeping real estate agents out of jail. If you have not seen the flyer, Chris Noonan, you got to throw the flyer in the chat. It is absolutely phenomenal. You did a great job with it. It is so funny and cute and great. But hey, my name is Hank Bertadato. For those who don't know, I am the South Florida broker for Epic Realty. My crime fighting partner is Brian Duran, but he is not here today. He is actually speaking at an event in Daytona Beach, Florida. So we're super proud of him, but he is not going to be available today. So I'm doing the training, and the training today, let me set this up for you, agents, is the modification to listing agreement is what we're going to cover today. Very, very excited for this topic and what we're doing today because a little bit of context. Epic just had two audits, one in the state of Arizona and one in the state of Alabama this year in 2026. And one of the things that came out of those state audits was that the brokers and the agents were missing modifications to listing agreements, whether agents were modifying the termination date, extending the listing, changing the price, changing the compensation, whatever the change may be to your listing. We need to make sure that that listing has that modification on it. The seller signs off on that change. That's very important. Like you can't just verbally, the seller say verbally, hey, I want to change the price from 550 to 500. Okay, great. And then you go in the MLS and do it. Well, technically, folks, we are bound by what the listing agreement says, and you have to modify that listing agreement for that change to actually go into effect. So if you're not using the modification of the listing agreement, you're out of compliance, unfortunately. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over this form. And so I'm going to share my screen. Can you guys all see this? Somebody give me a thumbs up. Yes, perfect. Thank you so much. So in your SkySlope, you go to the forms section, and then we have this section called Browse Libraries at the top. Now, hopefully you already have your libraries all set, whether it's the broker library, the main library, FRER, or Florida Realtors FAR. That's the main one. If you are in Naples and you have NABOR, you can add the NABOR forms. Unfortunately, I'm not part of NABOR, so I do not have that. So we're only going to go over the FAR modification of listing, but I will do a NABOR one as soon as I do get access to those forms. So what I'm going to type in here is I'm just going to type modification. And then, hey, the form starts showing up. And the one that we want is the modification to listing. Oops, it auto-corrected. We want the modification to listing agreement. So I'm going to pull up this form. All right. So with this form, couple formalities. The first thing is that it will automatically auto-populate your fields. So I'm not doing this in a specific file. So that's why there's nothing auto-populated. But I may bring up one in a moment just to show you that. But we have the owner's name or the seller's name, and then we have the brokerage, Epic Realty. And then you're going to want to check either the exclusive right of sale, exclusive brokerage listing, exclusive right to lease, whatever type of listing agreement that you have. And then the address will go here on this line right here. And then we've got a bunch of check boxes along the side. So let's go through these. So we'll start at the top. The first is check this box if the termination date will be, let's say, today. Boom. A calendar will pop up. There it is. Or are you changing the price? Now, here's what I would say about the price. Oh, actually, you know what? I'll save that for a minute. I'm going to get an editable form here in a second. The compensation to broker will be, what are you changing? Are you changing the total price here, percentage, or the gross of the gross value of a lease? So here's for listing, here's for lease. Seller authorized compensation to buyer's broker. You can change that compensation. Is that 3%, 2.5%, 2%, 1%, whatever it may be? Here it is. And then you could do paid by broker or paid by seller. So there is two different parts here that you would fill in. Now, again, brokerage commissions are not set by law and fully negotiable. We know that. The consumer now hopefully knows that from the lawsuit of August of 2024, but they have to put that on the form just so everybody is aware of that. Now, compensation to tenants consumer will be blank percentage of the gross value of the lease. So yes, you use this form for leases and modifying listing leases. Okay, compensation. Next one, compensation is owned to broker the property transferred within so many days after termination date. This is what's called your protection period. So if you did not put that in your original listing agreement, here it is now. You can put this in. Is that 90 days, 120 days, 180 days? And what does this mean? Well, this is the protection period in case you procure a buyer, the listing expires or terminates, and then that seller reaches out to that buyer and says, hey, you still want to buy my house? You're still entitled to compensation. So we want to make sure that that is filled in originally, but if not, you have a chance to edit it right here. Now, this says check to have the following listing agreement dated prior to March 31st. National Association of Realtors proposed settlement prohibits any requirements conditioning participation in Realtor MLS on offering and accepting compensation to buyer consumer brokers or buyer consumer representatives. Accordingly, any reference to a requirement that compensation be offered in order to list the property on the MLS is hereby deleted. So this is kind of outdated. This would be if you had a listing that prior to March of 2024. So we're talking over 2 years old, which possibly you could have, but most of us have updated the forms, anything like that. But basically what this says is that if you had in your listing agreement prior to March of 2024, because that's technically when the settlement happened, and then didn't go in effect until August, some of the ramifications. But if you had something prior that said, hey, this listing needs to go in the MLS, you check this box to delete that because, again, compensation is not allowed in the MLS anymore. A fee to the broker deposit for retained is what percent of that deposit? Put that in here. Leasing fee to the broker will be X amount. Cancellation fee to the broker will be, put in the amount. Or here, this box, the parties agree to conditionally terminate the agreement. Consumer will pay agreed upon cancellation fee and the conditional termination date will be blah, blah, blah. So are you going to charge that cancellation fee? Boom, you need to check this box. Next one, broker owner hereby agreed to unconditionally terminate the agreement. Owner agrees to reimburse broker for all direct expenses incurred in marketing the property. Broker and owner, seller mutually release each other from all obligations under the agreement and release each other from any and all claims and actions arising from the related to the agreement. What is this saying? This is releasing the liability, folks. They can't come after us post closing because they were mad at you for not selling the property. Okay, so that's a great box to check. I love that box. Releases our liability. And then the other box, if you want to write something in. Now, again, other goes from page 1 on to page 2 in case you have something specific that is not already pre-filled in here. Now, just be careful because we do not want the unauthorized practice of law. So check with Brian or I for certain verbiage if you would like to add something that is not already pre-filled, that you would like to add something that is outside this scope. So just check with us on that. Be happy to get you the verbiage from our attorney on that. If you do have a situation that does not fit into one of these, let's see it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12 boxes. That's a lot. They really revamped this modification form. If you saw this a year and a half ago, not even close to what it looks like today. So they've done a great job. The state of Florida, I applaud them for that, but there it is. Owner sign or seller sign, broker authorized sales associate sign. You can sign this. This is perfectly fine. If you'd like Brian or I to review it prior to signing, send it to us. You guys be more than happy. Here's what's important, and here's what Freck is looking for. This last part, copy returned to owner on, and then the date pops up. This needs to be filled in, and a box needs to be checked. Did you send it via email? Did you send it via text, mail, or personal delivery? Do not forget this box. This Freck, it's funny because Freck goes to this box immediately. This is the first box that they check and go to before even checking the rest of the form. So what they're really looking for is if this is not filled out, guess what? It's $250 fine, you guys. $250 per one that's not filled out. So if they find one, guess what they're going to do? Hey, Hank, why don't you pull up some more listings? Let's see if there's any more modifications. Let's see if they filled out this box so we can find you $250 more. So please, 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 the last box needs to be filled out. And that is this form. Now, what I'm going to do quickly is I'm going to get off of this and I'm going to actually go to one that's fillable so that I can show you guys a couple of things, just so that we're all on the same page. So let me go back to files, my files. Here's one of my listings. So I can easily add a form. I don't have a modification yet in this one, so this one should work out great. Oops, modify keeps auto correcting. Let me hit add here, and then let me put this. You guys' beautiful faces keep getting in the way. I gotta move this bar. There we go. Let me hit next on here, and then it'll show up in your forms. I click it, and you can see what's already been filled in once it populates. There we go. Here's my seller. And Yvonne, you should recognize this name. Kathleen Elms. And here's Epic. I'm going to check this box. These boxes are not checked, by the way. I'm going to check this box, exclusive right of sale, listing agreement. Here's the address. And then I can quickly go in here, click termination date. Boom, that'll be today. Price and terms. Here's what I want to show you on price and terms. One thing that I've learned is that I believe that you should always, with your listings, you should say this, okay, when it comes to the price and terms box, okay? So price and terms, I would say, it already says price and terms will be, and I like to say reduced from 550,000 to 500,000. All other terms remain unchanged. I like to do that. And I like to go from one price to the next price, folks. And that's because if you just put 500, well, was there something in between 550 and 500? I don't know. So this at least tells us, hey, we're going from one price down to the next price. Makes it clear. And again, what did the lawsuit want us to do? Be as transparent with all of our consumers, whether it is a buyer or a seller, throughout any and all agreements. So, hey, this is great verbiage here. Reduced from 550 to 500. Now we know exactly where we're going from. Okay, we're going from one price to the next price. All other terms remain unchanged unless there maybe are some other changes. And again, this is super simple, but do not forget, boom, down here today, just click it, email, done. That last box just saved us $250, you guys. Please do that moving forward. We'd really appreciate that. Okay, so this is our modification to listing form. I did it without the fillables and then with the fillables here, kind of showing you what it looks like, what you can do. And again, do not forget about this last box. So before I take questions, I'm just going to go ahead and stop the recording so we can easily upload this into the agent portal.